Okay, so chapter 4 here, the last one of Microsoft Word. Um, to me, this is probably the most useful segment of Word. Chapters 1 and 2 are pretty kind of basic Microsoft Word features. 3 and 4 get a little bit more actual application inside of Word here. So again, you can see here, these are the 12 skills that we're going to learn about. There are 10 in the chapter, 2 of which are additional that I like to do. Okay. So to kind of go through this chapter, then, if you want to follow along, I am working in Word 04 underscore farmers as my file. Okay. So inside of this one, I'm going to quick change my view here so you can see the one-page view, right? When you're writing reports, and again, this goes into the summative that you'll be writing next week, you'll be working a lot with headers and subheaders to create different sections within your report. So here's an example of heading 1, right? In this one here, if I was to go over to my home tab, underneath my style, there's a lot of presets that are already in here. Okay, so here I have a heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, title, right? So if you're working within subsections here, or if you have a section and then a subsection. So for example, one thing that you can look for in your summative next week when you're conducting your research is charitable campaigns run by your company or brand that you're researching. And so say if I find that my brand has 4 different um, charitable campaigns or philanthropic initiatives that they're working on, I could then make each one of those different subsections within this document. So for example here, and I'll kind of type this out so you can see, we could just say charity campaigns. So this may be something that you do inside of your document for your summative. So we have charity campaigns, and then talk about, I don't know, the ABC company is involved in 3 charitable campaigns, semicolon, campaign A, campaign B, and campaign C. And so then what I may do is on the next one here, after I talk about their charitable work, I do campaign A, make that a heading 2, and then after I type my paragraph that talks about campaign A, I would go down and do campaign B, right? And so we can do these subheadings like this, okay? And what that will do is make it easier when we go to add our table of contents. So for this, I'm gonna go ahead and make this my title, right? That's a preset that's already in there. What I'm gonna do too, and this is just something that you're not gonna do for your summative, but sometimes when you're laying out a page, you may need things in columns here. So we can actually set different columns. You can then also go under columns here and add more columns. Okay, so depending on what kind of document that you're writing, right, you can also include the line in between, so that way it's just a visual break in between the 2 columns. You can change your width here as well, and just to kind of like help structure your document a little bit more. Usually when we do write in columns, we do then also make our text justified. So that's underneath your paragraph section here. So you have left, centered, right, and justified. It's just a formatting style here as well. We talked a little bit about margins the other day. Again, you can do that under your layout here, and you have a margins drop down. You can customize them if you would like to. You could change your page orientation as well. One thing that I do recognize that some students are tending to struggle with is understanding where this is going to apply. So this section here has an actual apply to section here, that if you want to do it to this section that we're working in, this point forward in the document, or the whole document itself. An example of that is, so say if I highlight this paragraph here and I only want it to impact this section, under my custom margins, I could go in and say selected text. That's all I want it to happen to. I want a little bit extra from left and right for whatever reason. So I can now go in and I can customize the actual margins for the selected section. That works for your tabs. It works for your paragraphs as well. So if you want it to only apply to one specific paragraph, highlight it and then go in and make those alterations. We've talked about page breaks. We can also add what are called column breaks as well. This will take whatever is at the end of your section here. So say I want other rules to come up to the top here. So you can see other rules here and I want it to come up. If I go in and I add in a column break, it will now automatically push that to the top of the next column. Again, that's just nice for formatting. It makes things a little bit easier for readability purposes for our audience. Okay, we've gone in and we've talked about changing some font faces and stuff like that. However, what we haven't talked about is adding some word art or text effects as well. So under here, we can change. We have some options to make this kind of stand out. So first, I'm going to center this, and I'm going to go down here, and I'm just going to find something that's not super tacky. So I'm going to choose that one. And then I can go down here if I want to add outlines around the outside of my text. If I want to add a drop shadow for my text, I can add those. These are inner shadows. If you want reflections up top here as well, you can kind of see how it's impacting that. Okay, so depending on whatever you're adding up there, you can do so there. So quite a few different typography options that you can add to there. Same thing, again, we can go into this section, and if we wanted to get rid of our spacing and whatnot, we can do that. If you look at specific sections, once you add these styles up here, some other features that you can add, there's a little black dot here. And you should be able to then collapse on it here. Oh, I'm clicking the wrong thing here. So you can see now that there's a black arrow that says that there's a segment, there's this expand and collapse icon here. So it can help you kind of show, hide different areas if you would like. If you don't like the color schemes that are available here, you can go underneath your drop down here and you can actually create a style. So if you wanted to call this your own style, you could do, I don't know, quotations. You can now go into here and change exactly how you want this quotation to look like. So style based on, instead of normal, we have a different quote. So we're already going to use some of the presets for quotations, but maybe instead of just being this indented in this document, I want it to be a dark blue font that's also bolded and italicized. And for whatever abominated reasons, I'm going to make it Comic Sans. So Comic Sans for whatever reason. So now I can set this segment to wherever my insertion point is. It's going to have my special type of quotation here on it. So you can create your own styles that you want. You can actually do that with design as well. So if you go under here, right, you can either add to Gallery Quick Tools. You can completely customize some of this. So if you wanted to go in and change colors in order to match whatever your brand is, you can do customized colors. You can change all of these presets in here too. So for your summative, right, when I ask you to pick a brand or company that you want, I'm expecting you to go in and change the theme colors in order to reflect their branding style. So you can actually go in and change these as well. We can go into our page layout here too. If you go to page setup, you can change its orientation. You can change what type of paper that you're working on, right? You may not be working on paper necessarily all the time. You can print to different labels. You can print to different size paper that's not 8.5 by 11. You can print to 11 by 17 and a bunch of different options there as well. You can, underneath your design tab, besides changing the kind of the orientation, you wanted to change your page color, you can change your page color as well. So if you don't have access to different color paper to print on, you can change the background color so that it automatically will use a lot of your toner, but you can change then the background color as well. If you wanted to add a page border, you can add a page box here. So I'm gonna just show you here. So I can add a page border. So here you can see I now have a page border, but again, I can do this to specific segments as well. So if I highlight a paragraph and I go into my page border here, instead if I just go over to borders, this is now talking about a specific segment. So if I choose 3D, I'm going to choose some wavy lines to go around it. I can choose again my color that I want. This doesn't have any weight. I can then also go under my shading section here. And if I wanted to fill it with just maybe a lighter color, or if I wanted to add a pattern to it, I could. If I want my pattern to be a specific color, I can change that as well. But if I click OK now, this segment here, other than becoming extremely hard to read here, it now has these wavy outlines and it has a dotted pattern background. Okay. Again, this is used to emphasize specific items. So if you have like a little blurb that you want to focus on inside of your writing, you can do this. I've noticed a few students have done this as well in other assignments that I've had completed, and I really like it when you do something like this. But I'm gonna just quick undo this. But if there's like important information, I've not only seen students but go ahead and bold it, but then I've also seen them go in and change it to where it aligns with your theme color. So that way you bold it and you make it stand out on a different color. So that way I know that's an important number and it stands out. I really like that. We do that a lot with graphic design. So that way our users pull out quick information. If you're doing it in a huge report, probably not the time and place to do it. But when we start talking about smart art graphics here in a second, it's a good tool. We've previously talked about adding pictures, right? You can add pictures online here as well. If you want to do a Bing search, in this one, since we're talking about farmers, right, we can try to find a farmer. I guess I'm going to take this guy. So if I insert my picture and download it, again, we've talked about different positioning locations. We've talked about text wrapping. So if I got my farmer here and I want to place him in a specific spot here, notice how the text will wrap around him here. We can change the kind of the color of our farmer here as well. So if I want him to match in with just the general feel of my document and the theme, I can change his color as well. You can just drag this farmer wherever you would like to as well, and you can kind of see how it makes these changes. And go ahead and delete this just to make it easier for you to see. And then I'm going to choose normal here. One of the most important things that we can add these days, beyond just pictures, is smart art. And there's a lot of different types of smart art that are pre-built in that you can customize these. I use these a lot within my graduate program in order to create like flow charts and diagrams for hierarchy structure and stuff like that. If you're talking about a cycle, so with this farmer here, I may go ahead and choose this basic cycle. right? And it's got predetermined text that goes in there. So I don't know, what's a normal farming process? If I put till soil, and then I go to my next one here and say plant seeds, water crop, harvest crop, and then I don't know, maybe I can't think of a fifth one, so I can just delete it. And now it just automatically becomes a forest circle. Okay, I can edit those. If you double click on it, after harvest crop, if I can think of something, I don't know, winterized crop. And so now I can add those. I can go up top here. You can add shapes. You can add bullet points into some of these. You can promote and demote. What that is like when you're working within a hierarchy, right? And you're like trying to tab things underneath other things. So you have, sorry, I keep saying things and I apologize on that. Say you have your CEO of the company, and then underneath your CEO, you have 4 regional managers. Okay, you have your Scranton branch, your New York one, and whatever other office reference that I can make there to make this applicable, right? So under your Scranton branch, under that regional manager, you have the assistant to the regional manager, and then maybe underneath the assistant to the regional manager, you have your various departments within there as well, whoever reports to the assistant to the regional manager. Okay. So you can create those structures by promoting and demoting topics within your smart art here. You can then also change your colors if you wanted to change things to, or change the colors to your theme. If you wanted to get kind of spicy under your smart art style here and add like a bubble wrap. If you wanted to get 3D, that one's really hard to read. So there's different presets that you can do in order to make these look a little bit more professional than just flat 2D art. You can do the same thing with positioning with your smart art too. So again, just like with tables where we have the design and layout tab, in this one we have a design and format tab. We have additional segments down here. You have additional word art styles. You have different outlines. So if you wanted to, for whatever reason around this box here, you can change that. If you want to arrange it, you know, where's it going within your document, you can do that. If you want to change your size, you can do that as well. Any questions on those 8 skills? Okay. Last up here is a little bit different. And again, this is probably, excuse me. This is probably something that you've never had to use or never thought about using. I'm going to open a blank document here, and we're going to start what is called a mail merge. I personally use this for my wedding. Okay. I made a Google form to where everybody who wanted an invitation to my wedding put in their name and address and everything like that. And then I was able to go in here into mail merge, and I could actually set my document so that it is an envelope. So if I click envelopes here, I could say the return address, like Mike Dolly, 123 Main Street, Elkhorn, Wisconsin, and I forget what the zip code is here. 1, 2, what? Oh, I was what? I was right. Cool, go me. So I could do that. I can set the delivery address if I want to. I don't have Microsoft connected or Outlook connected. We can also do labels here as well. So, excuse me. So if I wanted to make labels here, I can do it this way as well. Instead of setting my address, I could just make the full page of the same label, or if I wanted a single label, I can choose how many rows and columns that I have. And then I can print these. And what this does is we can actually create a full document. So I'm going to create a mail merge here for envelopes to show you what I did. Okay, I need to determine what the size of my envelope is. So there's a lot of different ones. So depending if you go to like Office Depot or any office supply company or Target, whatever, you can figure out what the presets are for your envelope size. So I'm just going to say I picked this one, and I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So now I have an envelope. Okay, I can go underneath my select recipients. So if I want to type a list or if I want to use an existing list, I have an existing list. So if I click use an existing list, and inside your student data files, of course, you will have Excel spreadsheets that are CS values or CSV. So CSV stands for comma separated value, and it's just it's a file extension that tells tells the software how it needs to import it and where the different categories are. So if I'm going to go ahead and bring in my farmer addresses, I can click OK. Here's that. This first row contains column headers. I don't know right away. So sometimes if you don't know the data file that you're bringing in, it's good to go ahead and pull this up. It's read only. So if I bring this over here to show you this one right here, these are your column headers. Okay, so we can say, yes, first row contains column headers. So we leave this box checked. Okay. And if I click OK, we don't see anything right away, right? If we want to edit our recipient list here, we can go in here and we can see all of our recipients for our different farms. Okay, we can filter those, we can edit them. Say, in this example here, if I had some additional farms from another state, I could filter out those from outside of California if I wanted to. Okay. We can go ahead and write and insert fields. We can do address block. So if we wanted to insert our address block, depending on how we have them or how we want them formatted. Okay, so if we're just choosing Josh Randall, so first and last name, most likely is what we're going to need for a mail merge because the postal service needs to know who to mail this to. If there's a company name, right? So depending on how the data is that you pulled in, they may not have a first and last name. They may only have a company name. So chances are that you'll want to bring this in. Okay, insert postal address. And if we click OK, it now says address block. Okay. We can then also preview this. If we click preview results, we can see now it will populate with the first one here. So this is John's Fresh Food. We can go to the next one up here at the top and we can see all of these have now been labeled. And if I wanted to, if I turn off preview, up here on the top, if I just type Mike Dolly, 123 Main Street, Elkhorn, Wisconsin, 53121. And now if I click preview, all of these should now have my return address up in the top left and go to all of them. So what I can do then, this is exactly what I did for my wedding. So everyone that needed a wedding invitation, I just put it into mail merge here because you can then go print documents. And you can, in a printer like that in the back or even a home printer, there's an envelope section to where you can just take your blank envelopes, put them in your printer, click print, and I can print all of my envelopes just using a mail merge. Instead of having to handwrite all of them or print out label sheets and like pull off each individual label and slap that on an envelope, I can just print all of them in the back. Super quick and easy. I printed 200 something envelopes and it took me 5 minutes. Okay. So I'm not about to try to write out all of those. So this is how you can do it with envelopes. If you wanted to do it with labels, again, you can go ahead and you can choose some of these I'm going to do, for this example, just click 30 per page. Just click OK. Don't need to save it. So again, we can kind of see the layout here. You can see the presets in here. These labels go up and down. I don't necessarily like these labels all too much. So real quick here, I'm just going to go ahead. Let's do these landscape ones. All right, it's going to be difficult. All right, so let's just do, sure. Okay, so here's a half-page postcard. So you have one side over here, the other side over here. This will then be your back side of the postcard. So if you wanted to design something that goes here on the front of the postcard, like put a picture of your, I don't know, your senior picture or whatever, and then whoever it's going to, then they have something, you could do it that way. It's all about just kind of identifying what you want, and then you can merge material. You can also, this is a fun way of doing this. If you have to write a bunch of letters, you can actually insert greeting lines. So you could say, Dear Joshua Randall here. If there's no first name or last name, you can say Dear Sir or Madam. So if I click OK, right? So I put Dear Sir or Madam in there. I don't know. How are you today? And then I can put, if I have it, so if I had like first name, last name, I could put that in. So instead, I'm just going to say, Dear Sir or Madam, I hear your company, comma, insert merge field, company is doing just swell, but is in need of, I don't know, water, because insert state, like this one's going to do an abbreviation, but I could do because California is burning. Okay. And I can go ahead and put in these fields right away. So I can create this template of a letter. And if I were to finish it then, right, if I flip through here, I hear your company, Chapman's Prairie Farm, is doing swell, but is in need of water because California is burning. Next one, I hear your company, Mossy Rocks Produce, is doing swell, but it is in need of water because California is burning. And so I can preset this up and just automatically put in some of these so I don't have to go in and write 200 different letters to send to people. I can just create this template, and if I select the correct field from my Excel spreadsheet, it does all the work for me. So like if you wanted to create a generic letter for your college admissions, right? And instead of saying like printing out 20 different letters, just make one of these quick mail merges, boom, you're done. You could print the same letter to all the different universities, and it would include all of the different names that you may need. Let's see here. Couple of other quick skills. I'm just going to go ahead and back out of these as well. Here's just a couple quick, easy tips for you too, just for the future. Anytime that you're having to work in Excel, if you go to Insert, you have some pre-built-in cover pages. So like when you're writing your summative next week, if you want to go ahead and use some of these that are already in there, I recommend it, right? You have a blank cover page. You can actually look up and find more. There are more available on Microsoft Online. If you're done with your cover page here, and let's say I'm going to go ahead and push this Aspen Falls down, and you're ready to go ahead and like, oops. And you're ready to go ahead and insert, say you have a big table of contents. Where'd it go? References. Under references, if you do table of contents, It will do this automatically for you, and it populates everything based upon your headers that you have over here on the next page. So again, for your summative, you can easily, quickly do a table of contents within one click because you use header and subheaders for your document. If you need to update it, so say you added sections to your document, all you have to do is click Update Entire Table, and it will change. We talked about footnotes. We talked about in-text citations. Okay, we have covered a good chunk of Microsoft Word. And this is just the surface of Microsoft Word. There's a lot more to this that I'm not even teaching, right? There's a whole other like advanced level class of Microsoft Word that is that you could take, because there's a lot more programming that you can do within Word as well too, to just kind of work behind the scenes in order to help just mainstream all of your documents. You can create these into websites if you really wanted to. There's a lot of different views that you can do. And when we get to PowerPoint, I will show you as well my favorite way to use Word. And that's to type everything in outline view and to use outline view appropriately, because then all you have to do, if you use outline view, you can save it as an outline, import it into PowerPoint, and it does all of your slides for you. And then all you have to do is go back and put pictures into your PowerPoint slides, and then your presentation's done. So I like doing it that way. Are there any questions over chapter 4? My guess is that mail merge will be the thing that kind of stumps you the most. But I mean, other than that, I think you're all good to go. If you have questions, you now have this YouTube video available for you. You can go ahead and put away your laptops if you like. You have this YouTube available for you. You have me as a tool. Okay. If you're having questions, let me know. You'll have most likely until the end of the week to get chapter 4 done. So that way the next week is all summative time. If you haven't been keeping up with chapters 1, 2, 3, and now 4, you're going to want to do that for then the 2 summatives. Okay. Have a good day or have good lunch, and I will see you tomorrow.